كنتم خير أمة أخرجت للناس تأمرون بالمعروف وتنهون عن المنكر وتؤمنون بالله ولو آمن أهل الكتاب لكان خيرا لهم منهم المؤمنون وأكثرهم الفاسقون لن يضروكم إلا أذى وإن يقاتلوكم يولوكم الأدبار ثم لا ينصرون ضربت عليهم الذلة أينما ثقفوا إلا بحبل من الله وحبل من الناس وباءوا بغضب من الله وضربت عليهم المسكنة ذلك بأنهم كانوا يكفرون بآيات الله ويقتلون الأنبياء بغير حق ذلك بما عصوا وكانوا يعتدون ليسوا سواء من أهل الكتاب أمة قائمة يتلون آيات الله آناء الليل وهم يسجدون يؤمنون بالله واليوم الآخر ويأمرون بالمعروف وينهون عن المنكر ويسارعون في الخيرات وأولئك من الصالحين وما يفعلوا من خير فلن يكفروا والله عليم بالمتقين إن الذين كفروا لن تغني عنهم أموالهم ولا أولادهم من الله شيئا وأولئك أصحاب النار هم فيها خالدون مثل ما ينفقون في هذه الحياة الدنيا كمثل ريح فيها سر أصابت حرث قوم ظلموا أنفسهم فأهلكته وما ظلمهم الله ولكن أنفسهم يظلمون يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا تتخذوا بطانة من دونكم لا يعلونكم خبالا ودوا ما عنتم قد بدت البغضاء من أفواههم وما تخفي صدورهم أكبر قد بينا لكم الآيات إن كنتم تعقلون ها أنتم أولئك تحبونهم ولا يحبونكم وتؤمنون بالكتاب كله وإذا لقوكم قالوا آمنا وإذا خلوا عضوا عليكم الأنامل من الغيظ قل موتوا بغيظكم إن الله عليم بذات الصدور إن يمسسكم حسنة تسؤهم وإن تصبكم سيئة يفرحوا بها وإن تصبروا وتتقوا لا يضركم كيدهم شيئا إن الله بما يعملون محيط. You are the best people raised for the good of mankind. You enjoin good and forbid evil and believe in Allah. And if the people of the book had believed, it would have surely been better for them. Some of them are believers, but most of them are transgressors. They cannot harm you save that they may cause you slight hurt, and if they fight you, they will turn their backs to you. then they shall not be helped. They shall be smitten with abasement wherever they confront you, wherever they are found, unless they are protected by a covenant with Allah or by a covenant with men. They have incurred the wrath of Allah and have been smitten with wretchedness. That is because they rejected the signs of Allah and sought to slay the prophets unjustly. That is because they rebelled and used to transgress. They are not all alike. Among the people of the book, there is a party who stand by their covenant. They are not all alike. Among the people of the book, there is a party who stand by their covenant. They recite the word of Allah in the hours of night and prostrate themselves before Him. They believe in Allah and the last day and enjoin good and forbid evil and hasten to vie with one another in good works. And these are among the righteous. Remember that starting from, they are not all alike. All the praise has been is in application to the Jews and the Christians. Again now, and whatever good they do, they shall not be denied its due reward. And Allah well knows those who guard against evil. As for those who disbelieve, their possessions and their children shall not avail them aught against Allah, and these are the inmates of the fire, therein shall they abide. The likeness of what they spend for the present life is as the likeness of a wind wherein there is immense cold. It smites the harvest of a people who have wronged themselves and destroys it. And Allah wronged them not, but they wronged themselves. O ye who believe. Now this is from where the dars today is going to begin. Ya ayyuhallazina amanu la tattakhizu bit'anatam min dunikum. O ye who believe, take not others than your own people as the intimate friends. They will spare no pains to ruin you. They love to see you in trouble. Hatred has already shown itself through the entrances. I'm sorry, the word here, the first letters are a bit, slightly obliterated. Let's start again. Hatred has already shown itself through the utterances of their mouths and what their breasts hide. In general, still greater? I'm sorry. Now again, I would correct myself, reading right from the start. Hatred has already shown itself through the utterances of their mouths, and what their breasts hide is greater still. Akbar. Yes. We have made clear to you our commandments if you will only use your understanding. Behold, you are those who love them, but they love you not. Behold, You are those who love them, but they love you not, and you believe in the book, all of it. When they meet you, they say, we believe, but when they are alone, they bite their fingertips at you for rage. Say, perish in your rage, surely Allah has full knowledge of what is hidden in your breasts. If anything good befalls you, it grieves them, and if an evil afflicts you, they rejoice thereat. But if you be steadfast and righteous, their designs will not harm you at all. Surely Allah encompasses all that they do. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu la tattakhidhu bitanatan. Before I start commenting on this verse in detail, let me first explain a few important and a bit difficult words used in this verse. The first is the word bitana. What the word bitana means is simply the lining of a dress. Like we wear coats and jackets and there are linings within. So that part of the cloth which is closer to the body is called bitana. In fact, that part which touches the body, the skin. So this word means anyone who is so intimate that you do not keep any secrets from him. Remember another expression of the Holy Quran with regards to relationship between husband and wife, where Allah tells us that Antum libasul lahunna wa hunna libasul lakum. You are their dress and they are your dress. Here, among other things, the dress is taken as a whole, which means that that part is also inclusive, which touches the skin and the body and the inner beauties or uglinesses, whatever they are, so that nothing can be hidden from that part of the dress which touches the body. But that part covers all those secrets, and to look at from the outside, nothing is visible to the person who is looking only to the outer part of the body. So here the word bitana indicates that you keep them so close that you make them intimate and do not hide your secrets from them. Yet they are not your libas. They will not keep your secrets. They will reveal your secrets to those where that revelation may hurt you ultimately. So this is the true meaning of the word bitana. La yalunakum khabala. The word here is translated as they will spare no pains to hurt you. Yaluna is translated as not to spare, and khabala is translated as to hurt. But this is not enough, so let me further apprise you of the meaning of this verse according to Arabic usage, of these words according to Arabic usage. Yaluna is a word which has a root in ala yalu Allah, which has many meanings, and some meanings are opposite to one another. For instance, it means ishtahada, istata'a, wa fatura, wa dhawfa adun. The first two words, ishtahada wa istata'a, means they made a good strong effort, or somebody made a good strong effort and was capable of doing things, while at the same times fatura wa dawfa wa qasara wa abta taraka wa bana, all these words are exactly opposite of the first, are the meanings are exactly the opposite of the first two meanings which I have mentioned. They mean he became weak, he softened down to pressures from outside, and he faulted and made a misstep. He became weak and lost his will to fight. और उसने छोड़ दिया, मना किया, which means ultimately he gave up. So it's a very strange word. It has opposite meanings, exactly opposite meanings. But only the usage will tell you what meaning should be adopted for that particular context. There are so many other meanings which I am omitting because they are not relevant. Or if they are relevant, I mean, it would take a lot of explanation why they become relevant. Now, the word khabal is also a very interesting word, which has a much wider meaning than just hurt, as you have heard in the translation. Khabal, in fact, is anything, any internal disorder or any torture from without, from outside, which breaks a person down so completely that it may cause a nervous breakdown, even to the extent of becoming mad, or may leave one in shattered nerves, in a state where he loses orientation and cannot decide for himself as to what course he should best take for himself, adopt for himself. So that state, that disease or that external pressure or torture which causes all these internal disorders is called khabala. So in this context, the meaning would be O you who believe, do not make intimate friends, do not choose as intimate friends such people as want bad of you, who do not have good of you in their mind, have ill of you in their minds, so much so that they will continue to torture you or to cause problems for you, which will end up in your total chaos and disorder, and such measures taken against you will render you incapable of seeing the light of day as to what you should do. So they will break you down completely. This is their intention, and this is what they are doing to you. قَدْ بَدَتِ الْبَغْضَاءُ مِنْ أَفْوَاهِهِمْ. And this is no secret. They say it in so many words. This is what we want to do to you. We don't want to see your faces. We want you to disappear, melt away, be destroyed and done away with. This is what they say. But what they say is not all that they feel. In their hearts there is a raging fire of hatred against you. They want to annihilate you, not just to annihilate you, but do it in a manner as to enjoy the torture they are inflicting upon you. So, قَدْ بَدَتِ الْبَغْضَاءُ min afwahim wa ma tukhfi suduruhum akbar. What their hearts hide is much greater in intensity of hatred and vindictiveness than what they openly commit. But what they openly commit is also very bad, very serious and very threatening. قَدْ بَيَّنَّا لَكُمُ الْآيَاتِ إِن كُنْتُمْ تَعْقِلُونَ. We have made this manifestly clear. We have made these signs manifestly clear for you. In kuntum taqilun, this is a very beautiful expression, in kuntum, which means, but would you be wise enough to listen to this? Would you be wise enough to benefit from this warning? It leaves a shadow of doubt as to the outcome. Of course, in the early parts of Islam, those who truly believed in Hazrat Muhammad Mustafa Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, they took their cue from this and they acted wisely in response to the efforts of the enemy. But this expression leaves the issue widely open for the future generation of Muslims as to their response to this warning. So, in kuntum taqilun may mean so that you may act wisely. It also means we wish you could act wisely, and let's hope and see if you could act wisely. This in kuntum taqilun has all these three connotations. Now I'll turn back to the first part. Ya ayyuhallazina amanu la tattakhizu bitanatam min dunikum la yalunakum khabala. The question has been raised and discussed by many commentators as to who are the subject of discussion, who are the enemies, what is their identity, and to what extent the Muslims are admonished to break their relationship from them. Unfortunately, a part of this verse has not been properly understood, and when you read it in the context of what has gone before and what is to come, then you will clearly understand without any outside help who are the people meant and what are the conditions applied to this attitude of Muslims. So most of the scholars who have commented before us believe that all the non-Muslims, particularly Jews and Christians, are the subject of discussion, and the import of this verse is that you must break all relationship with them. But some wiser scholars and more godly scholars have laid some conditions, of course, as they are meant in the Quran. They say that not all are mentioned. Some exceptions, of course, there are. And not all relationship is intended for you to be broken, but only such relationship as may reveal your secrets to others. Some say in this all non-Muslims are included as far as the secrets go. Otherwise, you can have a reasonable, friendly relationship, but you should be aware of the fact that no secrets must be divulged to such as to or any non-Muslims whatsoever. I believe that it's not only the non-Muslims who are included, it's a general advice about all enemies in any situation, religious or irreligious, religious or irreligious, political or otherwise. This is an advice which holds good in all human situations. when the characters of those whom you are confronting with is described in detail, it is the character which must be kept in focus, in the focus of attention, which must be highlighted. Otherwise, God might have mentioned those by name, be aware of these and be aware of those. Instead of using that style, God has mentioned certain negative qualities of people you deal with. And wherever these qualities are found, you must become cautious. This is the import of the message. And this is exactly how Hazrat Masih Maud has translated it in his book Nurul Huda. He mentions Ahl Kitab mainly, but also includes all others who are fasiqun, who are corrupt in their attitudes of life and behavior. So, as I have already explained, on the authority of Hazrat Masih Maud, I am fully satisfied that this verse is all comprehensive and is applicable in fact to all similar situations, and it is a very wise counsel for any people of any denomination. So what we must keep in focus is the character of the enemies described, not as to who possesses that character. So the first character described is La yalunakum khabala. They do not spare anything, they leave no stone unturned to harass you, to torture you, to create internal disorders in you, so that ultimately you become mad. You are totally shattered in your nerves and in your bearing, and you lose sense of direction, so that you cannot decide what is good for you and what is bad for you. Now, if this is as it is, exactly what the Holy Quran has described, is applied to any human situation, why should it not be applicable? This is the question. If any enemies of China or Japan or Britain or any other enemies behave towards them with same intention and with the same ill will and with the same negative efforts, what should be their response? Should they be made intimate friends and all secrets should be revealed to them? In fact, in worldly affairs, the political nations are far more cautious in these matters than a religious entity can be. This is the main problem, which has already been explained in the beginning of in the following verse, where it says, "Ha antum ulai tuhibbunahum wa la yuhibbunakum." Despite the fact that they do not agree with you in fundamental beliefs, yet you love them. By nature, it is for the Muslims to love others. Now, this does not apply to political situations. So, out of love, one thinks good of others' intentions and not ill of others' intentions. That is why the Muslims, being very intelligent, of course, the companions of Muhammad, could fail to discover the hidden intentions. But the problem arises when you read the words, also they have spoken of these things. So the question is, when they have spoken of these things, how could the Muslims then behave innocently towards them and disclose their secrets to them? So this is the point which has not yet been touched by other scholars or commentators before. I have tried to find out the answer to this question, and unfortunately this point was missed completely. I relate this to the following verse. Here it is said, what their mouths declare as open enmity is not all, there are other things which are hidden in their breasts. So it applies to the same people as well as to two sections of the same society. In this, from this angle of observation, we will discover that some of them, and I mean it is possible, that two sections are described in this declaration. One section who openly commits to the enmities and doesn't apparently hide anything, but what it discloses is not all that they feel within their hearts. There's far more to come which they hide. So that shows they are so advanced in their hatred that it remains no longer possible for them to hide the hatred. So what they disclose is not out of choice or out of a desire to let anybody know that yes, straightforwardly and honestly, we don't belong to the same side. You belong there and we belong there. This is not the intention. The reason is that the fire of hatred is raging so fiercely within them. It is impossible for them to put the lid on the smoke or other signs of flames to escape from their mouths. So this will be the picture emerging from this vantage point. The other picture is of those who are either less in hatred or greater masters in the art of deception, and who can, despite sharing the intensity of hatred, they have a stronger machination of putting the lid tightly on their what they feel, so that no signs are escape. So this is the meaning of وَمَا تُخْفِي صُدُورُهُمْ أَكْبَرُ. Sudur here can apply to the sudur, the breasts of not the same people but also others of the same section, same society. So which means the society is divided in two parts. One which is overwhelmed with hatred and has no strength left in them to hide it anymore, so they let it be revealed partly only. The other which is more competent in the art of deception, so they hide all of it from the Muslims, but God knows them, so He warns them. That is the reason why the Muslims in general failed to pinpoint the enemy, and with some, they must have become cautious, of course. It was impossible for a Muslim, for instance, to go to the leaders of enmity and hostility who had committed themselves and share their secrets with them. It was impossible. But those who had cleverly hidden their malintentions, out of their love and out of their training of believing in the good of everybody, they innocently trusted them and shared some of their secrets with them, that this is what we do and this is what we are going to do, and so on and so forth. Now those secrets are also indicative of a time of war. Otherwise the Muslims had no secrets from any outer society. This point also should not be ignored and kept in view, because when we later on discuss the vicious attack of Mr. Very on Hazrat Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam with regard to the his commentary on these verses, then this will be of good use to remember this point, that this period is not a general period which covers all era or all periods of Muslim relationship with the non-Muslim society. It is particularly applicable to that phase in the history of Muslims where they are at war with some enemies, where the hostilities have broken up have broken, and some secrets are to be kept. Otherwise, normally, there is no question of Muslims having any secret. Whatever Muslims believe in or admonish, even this is no secret. It's in the book, open book. So when everything is stated, even this part which we are discussing, so openly, that enemy knows your strategy to this extent in principle, how could there be any secrets? So there are no secrets only at the time of war. Like it did happen at the time of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he was to make a move towards Mecca or some other tribes, and Mecca perhaps it was during the last victory over Meccans, when some people, out of sympathy and friendship for some of the non-believers, disclosed this, so that they could either leave Mecca or take preventive measures against this. So that is the sort of situation which is being discussed. It's not an offensive teaching at all in any way. It says, of course you love them. There is no objection against your loving anyone. But loving somebody so far, throwing all the caution to four winds, knowing that a part of the society has declared their enmity so openly, yet trusting that part which is hiding their intention and believing them to be as loving as you are loving to them. I mean, you believing that they would reciprocate your love, that is the height of simplicity. So Allah says, so I have to now warn you myself. I know the secrets of the hearts. This is not so. They all hate you. Some declare it, some do not. But whether they are good people or bad people, this is irrelevant. At the time of enmities, it is not advisable for any people to disclose their secrets to those who do not belong to them. This is the meaning of the whole discussion. Vaddu ma anittum. Again, another quality, another attitude of the non-Muslims, or sometimes Muslims within the four walls of Islam behave to other sections of the Muslim society in the same manner. So that is why Hazrat Masih Maud has included all such people in the application of this verse. It says, Baddu ma anittum. Whenever you are hurt, whenever you are in pain, you suffer from something, it makes them so happy. Now, this is not a crime only monopolized by the enemies or non-Muslims. It is a crime which we find also generally in society. Sharika, the word Sharika you must have heard, at least those who hail from the Punjab, they know it full well. The word Sharika means where you belong to the same family. Yet you can trust those far more who do not belong to the family than those who belong to the family. Because out of petty jealousies, the Sharika can be defined exactly as it has been defined in this verse. If anybody feels pleasure at any calamity which befalls you, then he is the person who belongs to your Sharika. And if you are happy, they will be hurt. So all their way of life is forged by the principle of this Sharika, that what hurts you will please them, what pleases you hurts them. So the Holy Quran says, if this is the attitude of your opponents, those who do not believe in you, and you must have tested it, experienced it many a time before, in your relationship. Some calamities must have befallen Muslims in the sight of those people who are being addressed here, and they must have noticed this, because at such occasions people can't hide their pleasure or displeasure at what happened to the neighbors or others around you. Hazrat Masih Maud has described it as the worst spiritual disease one can suffer from. Hazrat Masih Maud has described it as spiritual leprosy. So that is why I am taking time to explain this to the Jamaat, that if they want to survive with a healthy spiritual life, they must stand guard over these things, and they must fend themselves from these dangers. Because leprosy is the worst type of a disease, that can befall any person. Because it's not just a disease which hurts you physically or mentally from within. The response of the society to this disease is so punishing and so degrading that apart from whatever you suffer from within, the torture imposed on you by the society is unbearable. If you read the history of leprosy in Europe, in particularly in England, you will be shocked to learn the way the lepers were treated a few hundred years ago here in England, or perhaps about 100 years ago. So Hazrat Masih Maud has described this attitude as leprosy, which shows that normally, unless it is related to a sign of Allah which has got fulfilled, in the case of the enemy, you should not be happy, you should not feel happy even at any calamity which befalls your enemy. Not to mention your kith and kin, your friends, your brothers in faith, etc. So, but unfortunately, I know that this disease does exist even among Ahmadis, as remnants of old sharikas and old corrupt traditions of our society. So you must stand guard over this, and the indication is so clear and so simple. Nothing can hide from yourself, because you would respond to situations. If any Ahmadi friend or relative anywhere suffers a loss or any calamity befalls him, judge your reaction. If you feel a tinge of agony, even small, then you are safe, on the safe side at least. And if you feel in any way happy and relieved, and you wait impatiently for your return to the family to tell them, look here, to your cousin so-and-so, to Mr. so-and-so, this has happened. And everybody laughing. You see, ultimately they were heading for this. If that sort of thing happens in the family, then you're not safe. Then the disease has already started within you, and if you do not seriously attempt to cure it, then you'll be destroyed. But far more visible it would become in your relationship to others. For instance, during the wars, during other problems, when societies drift away from other societies, if just for the sake of having the pleasure of other people being hurt who are not with you, you watch the situation and say, look here, now they are destroyed, they are beaten. That happiness has something very bizarre about it, something wrong. Something is wrong. But this is a situation where it has to be critically analyzed. The Holy Quran describes the fate of the non-believers after resurrection, and describes the Muslims' feeling as that of farha. Yafrahul mu'minun. They will be happy and relieved to see this. So, in that state, you cannot just condemn wholly and totally the attitude of relaxation or pleasure among Muslims if a calamity befalls the enemies. Only the situation will determine where it was right and where it was wrong. If, for instance, there are enemies of Islam who have been hurting Muslims by destroying their brothers, helpless, defenseless men, women and children, if they commit atrocities against them continuously, and in this life they are not brought to justice. Imagine the suffering of the Muslim society throughout. Now, if on the day of the resurrection they see such cruel people punished, it would be inhuman to believe that they should not have felt happy. I mean, there is a limit to human decency. It is not limitless. In fact, the decency turns its face beyond a certain borders and changes its attitude. It is decency to your own brothers and kith and kin, and the decency to all oppressed people, and decency to the weak and defenseless, that requires you to feel happy if the perpetrator of tyranny and injustice is brought to book. So that sense of relief is no crime. It's not a sign of a disease. In fact, if you did not have that sense of relief even at that point, then something in you is already dead. Then your actions are not normal. So these are the areas where you have to be very careful in making decisions. But in general, even if the enemy is a committed enemy, if a calamity befalls the enemy in general, not in response to what it has done to you and your society, that is the area where you must not feel happy. For instance, America might have done so much harm to the Arab world and the Muslim world, or part of the Muslim and Arab world. If a natural calamity befalls America and many innocent people suffer terribly, it is not for the Muslims to feel happy about it, because these two events are unrelated. It is not during the course of their cruelty or as a consequence to their cruelty that they have been punished. But if there are prophecies of punishment relating the punishment to the long persistent period of cruelty committed against Muslims or other human beings, then that is the time for you to genuinely feel relieved, because then you will see a people have been brought to book by God's fate and by the decree of Allah, and this decree had been foretold us. So that relief would be twofold. Number one, that the prophecies were fulfilled and your faith in God is enhanced and re-strengthened. And secondly, you will be relieved to find that the culprits are punished also here in this world. And this course of natural retribution works or should work as deterrent to other criminals. So I am explaining all these things in detail so that you are not confused about your reactions. Otherwise, if I had stopped at what I mentioned earlier, everyone among you might have felt criminal at feeling relieved at anybody being punished. It is not so. It's a matter of minute observation and acute analysis. And if you make this analysis with the light of Allah's fear, then you can never make a mistake. The light of Allah's fear is the most wonderful instrument to discriminate between bad and evil, good and bad, even if it is about your own attitudes. You can always judge by the fear of Allah. And that fear of Allah is unique and indescribable and insplitable. It is not something made of parts. It is a one single whole. Like the unity of God, the fear of Allah is also one single entity in itself. And that fear of God is polished with experience and emits more light as you use it. So remember this, that in all judgments pertaining to your inner behavior and reactions, the best criterion is fear of Allah. So if after feeling happy, exhilarated about somebody's calamity, you suddenly turn to God and try to imagine if Allah would also be pleased at my reaction or not, that would be the most decisive way of finding out whether you were right or wrong. But the Holy Quran tells us that those who confronted Hazrat sallallahu alaihi wasallam and his companions, they had this quality very pronounced among them. Whenever a calamity befell the whole Muslims, they became jubilant and happy. And whenever they gained something, they said, oh, what has happened? We wish, at one time the Holy Quran describes, we wish we were with them to share the gains. But they don't like it anyway. So after this, the Holy Quran describes the relationship of the Muslim society with the non-Muslim society. Ha antum ulai tuhibbunahum wa la yuhibbunakum wa tu'minuna bil kitabi kullih. Behold, you are a people who genuinely and truly love them. Wa la yuhibbunakum. And they do not love you. Now, if somebody loves someone and he does not love, there must have been something deeply wrong, because normally love begets love. So when this natural law is reversed or disrupted, then there must be something wrong. So the Holy Quran says, if you can't see this sign and that sign and that sign, can't you feel that there is no warmth in their response to your love? They remain cold. And it is a question of internal judgment through long experience in life. Whenever someone loves and he is responded to, it would take a very blind man not to realize that he has been responded to. And it will take an utterly blind person to believe that someone has responded when he has not. So this is again a sign which has been pointed out by Allah, that if you can't judge from that, at least judge from this. وَتُؤْمِنُونَ بِالْكِتَابِ كُلِّهِ. And you believe in the book entirely. Now this is this part of the verse has been discussed at length by other commentators, classical commentators, because it creates certain problems. If you mean that the believers believe in the book, that is the book which has been revealed before them, in entirety, then this is not the right statement. Because the Holy Quran describes in so many places, leaving no doubt at all about the fact that that book which is before you, as revealed to Moses, or that book which is before you as revealed to Jesus Christ, is not without interpolation, without change, without additions, without subtractions. It is not exactly the same book. It has been interpolated. So, having understood this, what is the meaning of Tu'minuna bil kitabi kulle? You believe in the entirety of the book and the whole of the book. So some Muslim scholars have gone to believe that this word al-kitab means the institution of revelation of God as such. That is to say, that you believe that God has been revealing His will, His word to all the people everywhere in the world, and Al-Kitab does not refer only to the Pentateuch or other books of the Jews or the New Testament, but in generality it applies to this phenomenon. And some believe it means that you believe in Al-Kitab, the Quran, entirely, and they reject it. So this also has, of course, a way of explanation to resolve this problem. In this context, the meaning would be that they reject entirely what has been revealed to you, and you believe entirely in that message. With such fundamental differences of attitudes, how could you expect love from such a people who have rejected you entirely? While as far as the institution of the revelation of books is concerned, you do not reject that entirely. And you agree that people before Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and before Islam, all over the world have been given revelation by God. So, as such, your attitude towards them would be that of respect. And that is understandable. So, you love them because of commonality of origin. The explanation here of Tu'min tuhibbuna ha antum ulai tuhibbunahum would be this, that naturally it is expected of you to love them because you have a common origin. You believe in a common origin. You believe that other people also have been revealed by God, and it is the same object of your love, which is at the source of their revelations. So with that commonality, like you say, you don't belong to the same parents, do you? And if you do, why do you hate each other? You don't belong to the same people, same family, same nations, so on and so forth. So in this context, this will be a very closely related declaration, explanation of why you love them, and also at the same time the explanation of why they do not love you. And it befits perfectly. You love them because you think of commonality of source. They hate you because they believe that whatever has been revealed to Prophet Muhammad is totally from Satan. It has nothing of God in it. So that explains their attitude and also explains your attitude. But then it also explains that you are not safe with them. At least you should take the precaution of not revealing your secrets to such people who declare that your origin is devilish, satanic, ungodly. And that is an allegation which severs all ties of relationship between you and other religious people. From their point of view, not from your point of view. تؤمنون بالكتاب كله. The third possibility of the meaning تؤمنون بالكتاب كله lies in the fact that the believers, the Muslims, believe and also act accordingly. And whatever they believe in, they do not hide it, and there is no contradiction in their beliefs in one part and their beliefs in others, and there is no contradiction in their beliefs and their acts. This is also to believe in totality, in intensity, in entirety. Because the Holy Quran, where are the verses when I told you to bring the verses? When the Holy Quran says, you believe, and implies that they do not believe in the totality, it accuses them also of things which they have been doing in the past, which shows that apparently they believe in the book, but actually they do not abide by that teaching. And whenever they find there are contradictions between their beliefs and the book. So, to deceive people, they try to cover those contradictions in so many ways. So one of the accusations of the Holy Quran against them, which has been fully borne by history and which is also contained in the biblical statements of Hezkel, Prophet Hezkel, and Prophet Jeremiah, and some other prophets, that the people of the book have started already rejecting part of the book, so that they have become idolaters, and idolaters are worst type. If you read those chapters of Jeremiah, I think it is chapter 22 in Hezkel or Jeremiah, 23, which deals with these subjects. And of course also in other places this is mentioned. So instead of explaining all this, I just refer to those chapters. Those chapters are a witness of the statement of the Holy Quran which I am going to read. Witness of the truth of the statement of the Holy Quran. من الذين هادوا يحرفون الكلم عن مواضعه ويقولون سمعنا وعصينا واسمع غير مسمع وراعنا ليا بألسنتهم وطعنا في الدين ولو أنهم. But this is with regard to the Islamic faith. This is not the relevant verse. ثم أنتم هؤلاء تقتلون أنفسكم وتخرجون فريقا منكم من ديارهم تظاهرون عليهم بالإثم والعدوان وإن يأتوكم أسارى تفادوهم وهو محرم عليكم إخراجهم أفتؤمنون ببعض الكتاب وتكفرون ببعض. That means that the comparison here is in relation to the books of the books, the Quran and the Bible, in two different categories. Tu'minuna bil kitabi kullihi means what has been revealed to you, you believe in this entirely. While what has been revealed to them, they do not believe in that entirely. So although there are good teachings in that, forbidding them such malpractices as hating others and taking this enmity beyond all limits, yet because they are not consistent in relation to their actions and their teachings, so you are not safe with them. So in this context, this verse is applicable. ثم أنتم هؤلاء تقتلون أنفسكم وتخرجون فريقا منكم من ديارهم. Yet you are those who slay one another and turn out a section of your people from their homes, backing up their enemies against them in sin and transgression. And if they come to you as captives, you ransom them, while their expulsion itself was unlawful for you. In the first place, their expulsion was unlawful. Then to relieve them by accepting ransom was also unlawful. So you commit double crimes. Do you then believe in a part of the book and disbelieve in another part? This tantamounts, according to the Quran, to believing in the part of the book which is revealed, whichever suits you, you act upon, you accept. Whatever doesn't suit you, you practically reject it. This is the meaning of not believing in the book in entirety. So, two different societies in relation to their own beliefs and their own actions are described here by the verse. Where is the one? وَتُؤْمِنُونَ بِالْكِتَابِ كُلِّهِ أَفَتُؤْمِنُونَ بِبَعْضِ الْكِتَابِ وَتَكْفُرُونَ بِبَعْضِ فَمَا جَزَاءُ مَنْ يَفْعَلُ ذَلِكَ مِنْكُمْ إِلَّا خِزْيٌ فِي الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا وَيَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ يُرَدُّونَ إِلَى أَشَدِّ الْعَذَابِ وَمَا اللَّهُ بِغَافِلٍ عَمَّا تَعْمَلُونَ. What is then the reward of such among you as do so, except disgrace? Disgrace in this present life, and on the day of judgment they shall be driven to a most severe punishment. And surely Allah is not unmindful of what you do. This is Surah Al-Baqarah, verses 84 to 86. Now turning back to the verse and discussion. وَإِذَا لَقُوكُمْ قَالُوا آمَنَّا. So those who hide their enmity are also, there are two types of those I have already explained. There are some people who hide their enmity by becoming hypocrites. And they apparently claim that they have become Muslims, and in their hearts they have not accepted Islam, they continue to hate Islam. So they are the people who are the most difficult section of the society to detect and to deal with. So that is why Allah explains that because we know them, we are revealing to them these people by signs. Because by the word of mouth they don't admit, they don't confess that they hate you. They say, we have believed. So how can you find out? Observe closely their reactions to what happens to you. And also by the criteria which has been mentioned before, and with the help of these signs you can still locate them and determine who they are in your society. Another sign which mentioned about their reaction is وَإِذَا خَلَوْا عَدُّوا عَلَيْكُمُ الْأَنَامِنَ مِنَ الْغَيْظِ. But that is something which is not visible to the Muslims. It says when they are alone with their kith and kin, when you are not present, then they bite their fingertips in rage. Now, biting the fingertips in rage means that somebody is dying to see someone else die and be destroyed, and yet he is helpless. So this pictorial description is applicable to two human situations, one of extreme sorrow together with helplessness, and the other extreme rage together with helplessness. So when you can't do anything to save some friend of yours who has already met with an accident and you wish you could have done something, or maybe you could have done if you were close by, then this, biting of fingernails appears, which in fact tends to make someone sometimes mad. Ordinary calamities do not turn people mad as much as this calamity, the realization of a calamity mingled with the realization of your helplessness. These two psychological forces together make people mad. So they hate you so much and they're so helpless about it, they can't destroy you, that when they separate to their own kith and kin and friends, they bite their fingernails that, look here, these are the Muslims, they are still flourishing and we can't bring them down. Qul mutu bighaydikum is the natural result of this state of mind. Either such people go mad or have heart failures. And the incidence of heart failure in disappointments is deeply psychologically related to this situation. Sense of utter helplessness coupled with sorrow or with rage can cause far more heart failures than those situations separately, individually by themselves. So, mutu bighaydikum is not just an expression of hatred, an outrage that, all right, go and die. It is a natural psychological analysis of the situation. If you live in such duplicity, if you have to live with such hypocrisy, that you come to the Muslim society and laugh with them and smile at their pleasures and at their gains and say, well done and Allah bless you, what outrageous this attempt would be for them. How difficult, how nerve-breaking. And then you return and you can't do anything, and so you bite your fingernails and say, oh, wish they were destroyed and they were no more. So this living in duplicity, this state of helplessness mingled with the failures of your intentions to be carried out, may cause you death. And this is a warning. It is not just an expression, it is a warning. If you are bordering on a state of mind where either will you go mad with rage or you will meet a sudden death. Inna Allaha alimun bi zati sudur. The innocent Muslims do not know what is within your hearts, what is happening within your breasts, but Allah knows full well what is happening. So He is warning you and also advising Muslims how to react. So we leave it for today because the time is closing. And tomorrow, inshallah, we will take up this verse once again to discuss various commentary on this verse and our response to that commentary. Assalamu alaikum.